Hey there, it's Mario here. In this video, I want to cover a topic that I don't really find very interesting. Something that I personally tend to avoid as much as possible. Things like drama, things like hateful comments, negative environments, things that are basically coming from that side of the personal attack. And dealing with haters and negativity is actually a big part of being a human being. So I decided to make this video, and it's been requested a lot as well. I mean, often I get emails, I get social media messages asking, well, how do you deal with all the haters? How do you deal with all the negative comments? Someone commenting saying, hey man, like your legs are too small, you are also too small, do you even lift? I mean, do you even go to the gym? Why are you doing this? You suck. Your neck is too thin, your neck is too thick, your bicep is too big, your shoulders are too small, your shoulders are too big. I mean, there's a whole list. I mean, you could probably write a whole book on a variety of comments that I personally got, and I'm pretty sure that you've been getting any comments. I mean, if you're doing anything in your life, you're gonna be getting comments, you're gonna be getting personal opinions, you're gonna be getting unsolicited advice, and sometimes that advice can be very, very hateful. That advice can come from a place where it's literally the only purpose of that advice or that comment is to harm you. It's to just cause an emotional reaction in you. And that's one thing that I guess for me personally, I always try to avoid as much as possible. I try to avoid being in a situation where I'm causing drama or the drama is just happening in general. I try to avoid that, and I try to make as much as I can my environment to be positive, to be an environment that is encouraging me to pursue my passion. So how do you deal with haters? Well, look, the biggest hater, my biggest hater, and that this is my mindset, this is my idea, I haven't read this in any book, is yourself, right? Who is my biggest hater? Well, it's here, like this guy right here. You can insult me any way you want, but this guy right here, this guy is insulting me 24/7, 365 days of the year until I die. And I'm not saying that he's just hating me, but it's also my biggest lover and it's also my biggest hater. And what do I mean by that? Well, look, if I don't do the things that I set as a standard for myself, I'm gonna feel bad about that. It's not that the hateful comment or something that I read on social media or someone saying, hey, you need to train your legs better. No, I mean, I'm looking at myself every single day, and if I don't live up to the standard, I'm gonna feel bad. I'm gonna put that pressure on myself. I don't see the hater that is, you can be the most creative hater in the world, but you can never come even close to how much of hate or kind of like that, I guess, negative emotion or in general like holding you back or just hurting you, how much this guy can, like this guy right here. And this is one thing that really helped me realize when I say, damn man, I'm my own worst enemy, right? I am my own thing that is holding me back the most. You're not being held back by a negative environment, you're actually being held back by yourself. And you yourself are your worst enemy, and we know that. I mean, we know that that resistance we feel, that's not the resistance someone else put on you, that's a resistance that you've actually engineered yourself. And one interesting way, when I read, let's say, a hateful comment or something that that is really meant to attack me personally, it's like, okay, well, this is really nothing. I mean, I already know, like 100 times or 1,000 times worse things that I tell just myself. And I'm not sure if this is really, healthy or is this normal human behavior. I'm pretty sure that everybody has their own moments where they're really hard on themselves. They have their moments where you really like yourself, and it's kind of a combination, a balance of both. But it's really that person that no matter how well they know you, they can never ever come even close to affecting you emotionally as much as you can affect yourself emotionally. And I think this is kind of a blessing and a curse in the same package, as that it's a blessing because you can actually put that emotional leverage on yourself and it can change yourself for the better. You can actually do the things that you have to do because of that striving to be better. But it's also a curse because we forget to celebrate even the things that we've got and things that we have achieved, things that are just a blessing and things that we should be grateful for. We forget that as well because we sometimes get lost in that, I guess, self-hate or that full-on self-improvement mindset where we're always looking like, okay, what's next? So it's really about striking a balance between, okay, that's my future, that's the potential, that's where I'm striving for, but also at the same time being grateful for the things that you already have and the things that you're privileged even to live in this age. By watching this video right now, I mean, you're a privileged person. This was never possible since the beginning of the human race. I mean, you're the first person, we are the first people who can actually have access to the incredible amount of social connections, an incredible amount of knowledge and things that can actually stimulate our minds to think on a very, very high level. So that's something to be grateful for. And when someone tries to, let's say, put you down to a level of, let's say, an ad hominem attack or something like that, I mean, if you're coming from that place, okay, you really have that big picture in mind, you don't even tend to recognize that. You don't even see that as a problem, right? And the only time that I really see that the hateful comment or some kind of negativity is actually affecting me is when I personally add power to it, right? When I'm thinking about it, right? The thing I tell myself based on that comment is actually amplifying that comment. So the comment itself, whatever, but if I decide that my attitude toward that comment is going to be that that comment is bad for me, then I'm in trouble. Then I'm actually giving power to that hateful comment, that article or video or whatever it's coming out, right? And often we really, if we get stuck in that negativity due to lack of gratefulness, due to lack of celebrating, our minds can sometimes really tell ourselves all these negative things. We can assume negativity. And often people are stuck in this mode as well. So when someone is actually sending negative energy toward you, it's probably not their own choice. And part of it is really that they are stuck in that environment and they're just relaying a little bit of that negativity to you. And if you're just grounded, if you're that person who's really grounded and you're reframing it as a positive, often people will really see, okay, well, I probably was wrong. I was a little bit too harsh, or I was just not being really happy with myself in the moment, so I just left that negative comment, or I just did something that I kind of don't feel very good about it. Because honestly, if the person is not a complete sociopath, they will realize that their intent was to harm you, but it was probably not deliberate. And that's one thing, right? And a lot of people will just say, well, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, right? If you're really being honest with them, and if you don't resort yourself to personal attacks, if you really try to reframe the situation as, okay, the person is just having a bad day. It's that one really good example. Let's say you're driving in a car and someone like cuts you off immediately on a highway and is like really goes in front of you and risks your life and everything, and you're like, oh, that fucker, I'm gonna kill him if I stop him. I'm gonna strangle him to death. He's ruined my whole day. Like your adrenaline shoots up and you want to crush him. You want to do like all these things, and you imagine it being such a horrible person. But imagine, let's say that person had a pregnant wife in the back seat who she was about to deliver a baby, and they had to drive as fast as they could to the hospital to save the baby's life. Would you still be affected by the same scenario? It is the same action that is happening, but now that you have the context difference, all of a sudden it feels like that it is okay. And often we will, if we fall into the negativity trap, we will add that extra negative context on all these hateful comments that we're getting. We won't even assume that the person, we will assume that the person is being negative, while in reality the person might be completely indifferent, or they would actually give us some positive comments and we don't even see that. And this is, at least from my experience, I don't believe that people are inherently evil or bad or negative in any way. As I said, my worst enemy and my biggest hater is just myself. And I don't think that any one of us, if you truly look at your life right now, that nobody's holding you back but yourself and your attitude, which is your choice. Ultimately, that is the first thing. And I guess the final freedom you have, even if someone takes all the freedoms away from you, it is your choice how you can choose your thoughts. You can choose exactly what your attitude is going to be toward a certain situation, and that is ultimately your absolute freedom. And even if you, let's say, I don't know, get locked up in some kind of a prison or anything like that, it's just completely tied up, you still have a choice what's your attitude against that situation. This is something that it really goes deep into a Stoic philosophy, and certain books on this, like from Seneca or Epictetus, will really resonate with you if you're looking to read more about this. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys. I feel like this is a topic that I don't want to go too deep into. I know a lot of YouTube channels out there are actually dealing with a lot of hate, and hate kind of comes with success. But even if you're not pursuing some kind of big goal, hate is still going to be there. It's just a natural part of being a human being. Same as the positivity is going to be there, but somehow we just notice the hate a little bit more. And that's kind of a little bit making me sad, but it's normal for us to notice the hate. I guess it's some kind of a survival mechanism where really that negative news article or something that is, I guess, potentially harmful for our survival, we're going to pay a lot more attention to it than something positive, something great happening. It really takes like 10, 15 positive things before we start noticing them, compared to that one little nasty comment that you got as a little kid and you still remember it, right? And that's just the way we are, and unfortunately we have to work against that, and we have to work to teach ourselves and educate ourselves how to deal with it. So hope you guys enjoyed. I know this topic is a little bit out of the ordinary what I'm doing on the channel, where it's a lot of science, nutrition, and like even personal development. I like to go into studies. This is just my experience, so I hope this resonated with you. Aside from that, make sure to leave a comment below and share with me what's your experience. How do you deal with all the negativity or the potential negativity that we're all exposed in today's world? So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.